Let's talk about swollen feet and ankles. I know I'm in a great mood, but trust me, this is no joke. There are 9 possible causes, and yeah, I almost ran out of fingers counting them. But here's the thing. One of these causes is responsible for at least 75% of cases, and I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. First, we'll cover the more serious causes, how to spot them and what to do if you have them. Then, we'll break down the best ways to diagnose the issue, when to see a podiatrist, and the warning signs you shouldn't ignore. And don't worry, I've got you covered with everything you need: home remedies, stretches, exercises, massages, creams, pills, the right shoes, ankle braces, you name it. I'm going to go rapid fire through all of this, but first, do me a quick favor. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate your likes, comments, and subscribes. Hearing your success stories means the world to us, and it really helps keep this channel going. So, thank you. The most common cause of swelling might not apply to most of you watching, but if you have underlying health issues, listen up. This is important. Swelling in the feet and ankles is often caused by serious conditions like heart problems, including congestive heart failure, past heart attacks, and even lung issues like COPD, smoking, and emphysema. When your heart struggles to pump efficiently, blood circulation slows down and fluid builds up in your feet. Kidney problems are another big factor. If you have long-term diabetes, metabolic issues, or severe obesity, your heart isn't necessarily getting stronger. It's just working overtime to pump blood through a larger body. And unfortunately, a lot of that excess fluid ends up pooling in your feet. I'll group all of this under metabolic diseases. And honestly, this is beyond what home remedies can fix. If you're dealing with these issues, your best bet is to see your podiatrist, primary care doctor, or cardiologist. They'll help you figure out what's going on and get the right treatment. If this sounds like you, addressing the root cause should be your top priority. Number 2, pregnancy. I'll keep this one quick, but let's be real. Pregnancy does a number on your body, especially when it comes to fluid levels. To all the moms out there, you are absolute saints for growing these tiny humans and, let's be honest, for helping the husbands so we don't have to do it all. Swollen and sore feet are pretty much inevitable during pregnancy. As the baby grows, it presses on your veins, slowing down blood flow. Plus, your body is pumping way more blood than usual, but your heart hasn't gotten any bigger to handle the extra workload. That means fluid can build up, especially in your feet and ankles. The good news, a lot of the remedies I'll cover later can help ease the swelling, but just know, the further along you are, the more common this is. So hang in there. Another possible cause is lymphedema, which affects your lymph vessels. This one can be serious, especially if your skin starts looking thick, dry, or even crusty, almost like tree bark. That rough texture is called papillomatosis, and it's a sign that your lymphatic system isn't draining fluid properly. Lymph vessels play a crucial role in your body by absorbing larger proteins and molecules from surrounding cells and returning them to your bloodstream. But sometimes these vessels get damaged. This can happen for genetic reasons, long-term obesity, or frequent skin infections like cellulitis. When infections kill off lymph vessels, or if you've had long-term injuries, fluid can start to build up, leading to chronic swelling and thickened skin. Lymphedema is different from venous insufficiency or varicose veins. With venous issues, swelling happens because your veins struggle to push blood back to your heart. But with lymphedema, the issue is fluid getting trapped due to poor drainage from the lymphatic system. Understanding the difference is key to finding the right treatment. Varicose veins happen when the one-way valves inside your veins stop working properly. Normally, every time you take a step, your muscles help push blood back toward your heart, and these valves prevent it from flowing backward. But when those valves weaken or break, blood starts pooling in the veins, causing them to swell and stretch out. That's why varicose veins often look enlarged and twisted under the skin. If you spend a lot of time sitting, whether it's working from home, lounging on the couch, or even just long periods at a desk, this can make things worse. A great home remedy: leg pumps. These simple exercises help squeeze the blood back up your legs, improving circulation and making your legs feel lighter. Even if you're sitting for long stretches, taking breaks to do some leg movements can help prevent swelling. Now, venous stasis, which is when blood flow slows down and pools in your legs, is different from lymphedema, but some of the same strategies can help both. For lymphedema, though, you'll likely need professional-grade compression pumps, which your podiatrist can prescribe if needed. So if you're dealing with persistent swelling, it's worth checking in with a specialist to find the best solution for you. Infections are another major cause of swelling. If you have a cut, scrape, or any kind of skin irritation, an infection could be the reason your foot or ankle is swelling. Infections can be either fungal or bacterial, and if left untreated, they can get worse fast. Here's what to watch for: redness, tingling, pain, or irritation around a wound. If the area feels warm, looks inflamed, or if one leg is noticeably more swollen than the other, don't ignore it. These are signs that an infection might be spreading. If you notice these symptoms, call your podiatrist or primary care doctor right away. In some cases, you might need antibiotics to clear it up before it becomes a bigger problem. Catching an infection early can make all the difference in how quickly you heal. Blood clots are another serious cause of swelling, and they most often develop in the calf. This is called deep vein thrombosis, DVT. If you notice your calf is red, hot, swollen, and painful when you squeeze it, it could be a sign of DVT or venous stasis. If you suspect a blood clot, don't wait. Head to the emergency room or contact your doctor immediately. They'll likely do a venous Doppler test to check for a clot. If you have one, treatment usually involves blood thinners to help break it up. In some cases, if clots are recurring or severe, a doctor might recommend a greenfield filter, a device implanted in your body to prevent the clot from traveling to your lungs. What increases your risk of a blood clot? Severe injuries like broken bones, especially in your leg, ankle, or hip, smoking, being overweight, or having certain health conditions. But the biggest risk factor is a family history of blood clots, as it can be genetic. If you have a red, swollen calf that isn't improving, it's crucial to get checked out as soon as possible. A clot can travel to your lungs and cause a pulmonary embolism, which is life-threatening. A pulmonary embolism occurs when a blood clot travels to your lungs, and it can be life-threatening. This is a serious risk after surgery, broken bones, or injuries like a broken ankle. Certain medications can also increase your risk, especially those with a long list of side effects, which you've probably seen in commercials. It's crucial to check with your doctor about the potential side effects of any meds you're taking, especially if you're concerned about blood clots. But even more common than clots, tight muscles, tight legs, and tight ankles can contribute to swelling. If you're wearing unsupportive shoes, that can make things worse. For example, if your shoe is too flexible, like this one, it doesn't offer the support your muscles, joints, and tendons need to absorb the shock when you walk. On the other hand, a good shoe has more cushion, a slight heel lift, and a stiff back that keeps the shoe from bending too much. This helps reduce strain on your legs. If that still doesn't do the trick, consider going for a heavier duty shoe with extra cushion, especially in the heel and toe areas. The right footwear can really make a difference in how your legs feel, especially if you spend a lot of time on your feet. Principle I'm talking about here is called the rocker bottom design. Notice how this shoe rolls across the floor smoothly compared to a shoe that just lands flat. The rocker bottom design is great because it helps reduce the stress on your feet and joints. Now, there's a debate about whether walking barefoot is the way to go, and here's my take. For most people, especially if you're already dealing with swollen and sore feet, a supportive shoe is the better choice. There's a lot of evidence supporting this, and I could go on about it all day. For younger, healthier individuals with no swelling, maybe you can train your feet by walking barefoot. But if you're dealing with discomfort and swelling, get a supportive shoe first. Once the swelling goes down, then you can think about adding some barefoot exercises if you feel like it. Also, take a look at this. When you walk, gravity causes your arch to collapse. This puts stress on the tendons, joints, and muscles around your ankle. Notice how much movement happens right here. Those little muscles have to bear a lot of weight. Your larger muscles, like your calves, thighs, and butt muscles, are built for lifting heavy loads, but your feet weren't meant to carry 200 pounds on their own. That's one of the big reasons why your feet and ankles can get swollen, because they're working overtime to support you. Take a look at this gentleman running. You can see the stiffness in his hamstrings and calf muscles. His feet just plunk down with each step, not absorbing the shock as they should. This puts a lot of stress on the joints and muscles in his feet, leading to soreness and swelling. The root cause here is that one foot is stiffer than the other. Look closely at the left foot. It doesn't bend as much as the right foot. The right foot bends up easily, but the left foot is stuck with about 10 degrees less dorsiflexion. That's the foot's ability to flex upward. When this happens, the left foot has to externally rotate, causing the body to compensate through the knees and hips. This imbalance, called asymmetry, makes the whole body out of alignment, which can lead to discomfort and injury. Now compare that to this healthy young athlete. His feet land evenly, and they absorb the shock properly. His muscles are strong and flexible, so his body moves fluidly. Even though he's not wearing the best shoes or orthotics, his flexible muscles allow him to run without issue. On the other hand, take a look at someone with tight hamstrings, tight knees, and tight calf muscles. They're buckling out with their ankles rolling in. This happens because their muscles aren't flexible enough to handle the demands of running. Their joints and muscles have to work much harder to compensate for the lack of flexibility, leading to poor form and ultimately more strain on the body. Now, check out the difference here. In a good orthotic, notice how the foot isn't collapsing. It has the right amount of cushion and support. You can still move freely through the ankle, and your big muscles can do their job. But the key is your little toes and tendons aren't getting beat up all day. A good orthotic paired with a well-designed shoe is a powerful combo. It helps keep your feet in the right position and takes a lot of stress off your body. Just by making this change, you'll feel the difference in how much less strain your feet experience throughout the day. Next, it's important to see your podiatrist for a biomechanical exam. During this exam, the doctor will check if one ankle, knee, or hip is tighter than the other. For 95% of patients I see with swollen legs, this imbalance is the root cause. If you're feeling pain in one hip, knee, or back muscle, it could be a sign that your body is leaning or off balance. Getting this evaluated is key to finding out what's really going on and getting the proper treatment. Once you've ruled out the serious causes we talked about, it's time to focus on stretching and exercising. For sore and swollen feet, a great trick is to freeze a can or water bottle. Just make sure it doesn't explode. This will help target the bottom of your foot muscles, which are likely pretty sore. You can also buy a cryosphere, those metal balls that freeze up for about 20 to 30 bucks online. They work best on your calf muscles, but they're not as effective on the bottom of your foot. If you want an even simpler option, just grab a ball. Those are only $1. You can roll it around under your foot after a long day. The key is it doesn't have to be painful. A gentle massage is exactly what you're looking for, so don't push too hard. The goal is to help relieve tension, not to make things worse. Massage roller sticks are a game changer, and they're only about $7. I'm a big fan of these myself. After standing and walking all day, they're great for rolling out your calf muscles, hamstrings, plantar fascia, and the inside of your legs. These little tools do wonders for relieving pressure and helping you walk more symmetrically. After using them, you'll feel like you're back in your teenage years again. Next, the towel exercise is a fantastic stretch, especially if you can't quite reach your toes. But before you dive into stretching, it's important to warm up first. You can massage your muscles, ride a bike for 5 minutes if you have one, or just move your ankle around to get things flowing. Once warmed up, stretch your thighs, hamstrings, and calf muscles. As for creams, BioFreeze is one of my favorites. But if you need something a bit stronger, Voltaren Gel is a great option since it's a medication. Whether you're using lotions, essential oils, or other creams, these can help warm up your muscles and reduce swelling and soreness. Pills like ibuprofen and Aleve can help reduce soreness, but I'd recommend using them only if the pain lasts for about a week or so. Long-term use can be tough on your kidneys and come with some serious side effects. Plus, they don't really address the root cause of the problem. So while they can provide temporary relief, don't rely on pills to fix the issue. They'll never be the solution. Next up is cross-training. If you're on your feet 60 hours a week, it might be time to visit your podiatrist. They can help you figure out the best solution, whether it's getting a chair, upgrading your shoes, or using ankle braces and orthotics. It's also crucial to get assessed to make sure you're not off balance. This is key for getting rid of that leg swelling for 90% of people I see. Now, I know I'm a bit biased, but even if you're dealing with some of those more serious conditions, Getting an assessment from a biomechanical expert like a podiatrist can make a huge difference. Just 1 or 2 appointments can transform how you feel, so it's definitely worth it. Take a look at this technique again. See how the feet are buckling out? I can tell you right now, if this person were a teacher or a nurse, they'd be dealing with swollen, painful feet at the end of every day. They'd probably be sore every single day and might even get used to it, thinking it's just part of the job. But here's the thing, you shouldn't accept that. You deserve to feel good on your feet, and there are ways to fix it. Don't just put up with the pain. I can tell you right now, it's the thighs, hamstrings, glutes, and calf muscles that are absorbing the weight. That's why this person can stay athletic without feeling sore. The real issue here is asymmetry in the way they walk. If that's you, it's time to see a podiatrist for a biomechanical exam. The question is, why are you walking like that? Can orthotics help? Would stretching or shockwave therapy be useful? Maybe laser treatment could make a difference. In some cases, you might need surgery for things like arthritis or further imaging to get a clearer picture. The key is identifying the issue, and then you can create a plan that's tailored to you. To get started on the path to feeling better, it's all about rotating your ankles, warming up, and giving those tight, sore muscles some massage therapy. If you're dealing with chronic tightness, you can try shockwave therapy or even physical therapy. There are plenty of great doctors out there to help. If you have back pain, a physiatrist or a physical medicine doctor can be a real lifesaver. Incorporating stretching and offloading is key because pushing yourself too hard by starving your body or running long distances can just make things worse. Use gravity to stretch your hamstrings and calf muscles, and be sure to track your progress. Are you feeling better after a week or 2, or maybe after 2 to 3 months? If it's not getting better, that's when you want to reassess. The process is simple, and with the right approach, you'll be on your way to feeling better in no time. A great way to stretch your calves and hamstrings is by standing on a towel. While you're at it, don't forget to stretch the inside of your thighs and groins. Trust me, it makes a difference. Another awesome tool is the ankle stretch board. Start by standing on it at 15 degrees, and as you begin to make progress over the next week or 2, move it up to 20 degrees. Keep going. If you're still progressing, bump it up to 25 degrees. After just a little bit of time, you'll notice big improvements. You'll feel more athletic, experience less back pain, less hip pain, and less knee pain. You're really on the right track and making amazing progress with just these small changes. You can gradually work your way up with the stretches, and you can see how much more ankle flexibility you'll gain, especially if you have flat feet. If this video helped you out, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, drop a like, and check out our future videos for more tips. Your support really helps us out. Thanks for watching. This is Fab Dandy Health signing out. Take care and stay healthy, everyone.